alone in this freedom, fellow South Africans. And we did not walk into this freedom on our own. We were carried by a tide of solidarity from the nations of the world, from the nations of Africa. These countries opened their borders to our liberation fighters.
You know, my people, Africa is angry, but this time is different. Africa, this is not just another headline. This is not just another apology. This is the moment that is shaking the very idea of what it means to be an African. Because when images and stories of xenophobic attacks began to emerge from South Africa, it didn't just shock people, it hurt deeply. Not because violence is new, but because this time Africans were turning against Africans. And then came the response. Cyril Ramaphosa stepped forward and issued an apology to the continent. But let's be honest, Africa is no longer satisfied with the apologies. Because how do you apologize for a broken trust? How do you apologize when African blood has been spilled by fellow Africans? This is where the story changes. From Nigeria to Ghana, from Zimbabwe to Kenya, something powerful is rising. A new African voice, a louder African consciousness. People are saying enough is enough, because Pan-Africanism was never meant to be a slogan. It was meant to be a shield, a bond, a promise that no matter where you go on this continent, you are home. But today, that promise feels broken. And that's the painful truth Africa is being forced to confront. How can we talk about unity when we are divided by borders that were never ours to begin with? How can we dream of powerful Africa when fear exists between brothers and sisters? This movement is not just about South Africa, it is about all of us. It is about the kind of Africa we are choosing to build. Because if Africans cannot protect Africans, then who will? This is the wake-up call. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now, African leaders must move beyond speeches. Communities must reject hate, and every African must decide what they stand for. Unity or division, strength or self-destructions, because the truth is simple. A divided Africa will always struggle, but united Africa, that is a force that the world cannot ignore. So yes, Africa is angry, but maybe, just maybe, this anger is necessary. Maybe this is the fire that will finally awaken a continent. Now, the question is yours. We will continue to fight each other, or we will finally stand together as one Africa? The future is watching, history is listening, and Africa must decide what to do next. Let's listen to the speech of Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa.
Alone in this freedom, fellow South Africans. And we did not walk into this freedom on our own. We were carried by a tide of solidarity from the nations of the world, from the nations of Africa. These countries opened their borders to our liberation fighters. When the apartheid government was pursuing our liberation fighters, they ran to a number of countries around the world, but especially on our continent. They shared their stories with our neighbors, and our neighbors shared their spaces with them, and they gave them safety. They even fed them. They gave them bread, and they opened their homes. They spoke for us when we could not speak for ourselves. They took risks so that we could be free. Their countries were bombed. Their nationals were killed. And all that they did for our sake as well. They supported our freedom. The leaders and the people of Africa kept our freedom alive and our struggle for freedom alive. It cannot be and must never be that we trample into the dust the African fellowship that made our freedom possible. We are a people who live the value of Ubuntu. We should never allow the legitimate concerns of our communities about illegal migration to breed prejudice and hatred towards our fellow Africans. We should not allow that to happen. Yes, we all have concerns, as many other countries in the world have concerns about undocumented and illegal migrants. We must not allow these concerns to give rise to xenophobia, to give rise to hatred that is directed towards people from other African countries or any parts of the world. We are South Africans. We cannot be driven by hatred towards others. Others gave us compassion. They gave us support. And we cannot be driven by hatred towards them. Instead, we must insist that the law of our country be upheld and enforced. That is why we are clamping down on illegal migration and on businesses that flout the law by hiring undocumented persons at the expense of our citizens. I spoke about this during the State of the Nation address. We are actively rooting out corruption in our immigration system. We know that a number of people who have come in illegally into our country were allowed by some, not all, officials who have had corrupt tendencies. We will not allow people to take the law into their own hands. We extend hospitality to those who are guests in our country with the expectation that generosity is honored with respect for our society and its laws. And we say to those who are here legally, respect us as South Africans, respect our laws, respect our conventions and our traditions, as you would want us to respect the laws and traditions of your own country. As a nation that defeated colonialism and apartheid through international solidarity, we carry a responsibility to advance constitutional values beyond our borders. So we then therefore say, yes, let us allow our laws to take their course. We have already set in place the way in which we will be able to deal with those who are in our country illegally. We remain committed to multilateralism, to respect for international law and principled diplomacy. International law was born from the devastation of global conflict. It is a shield for all countries in the world, regardless of their size or influence. True multilateralism demands respect for diversity while remaining firm in the core principles of sovereignty, of human rights, of freedom, of accountability, and peaceful coexistence. This Freedom Day, which we cherish so much, stands as a reminder that political liberation was never the final destination. It was the beginning of a longer journey towards economic freedom and social justice. Let us continue working together, sparing neither strength nor courage, to complete the unfinished task, which is the realization of our freedom that is grounded in justice, in dignity, and prosperity for all. Our future will not be built by forgetting where we come from, but by acting with courage on what we have learned, united by one constitution, bound by a collective responsibility to each other, and in pursuit of a shared destiny. The freedom that we are celebrating today belongs to all of us. And I've often said, this freedom we have won also freed those who were our oppressors, because as they were oppressing us, they themselves did not have real freedom. And today, all of us are free, but we now need to work harder so that all of us can enjoy the real fruits of the freedom we struggle for. This freedom does not belong to one party. It does not belong to one generation. It belongs to all the people of South Africa, past, present, and future. So let us protect it. Let us uphold this freedom. Let us live by it. And so, as we reflect on how far we have come, all of us, need to look to the future that we must build together, remembering that the freedom we enjoy today was never handed to us. It was fought for by our people and secured forever by our Constitution. Let us be worthy of that freedom. Let us deepen it. Let us defend it. Let us ensure that it is felt by everyone. Ha tukuluho ena re ka etsa hore re atise ibe tukuluho e feleletseng. South Africa ena e tla ba South Africa entle. Ka mantswe ao ke re, may God continue to bless our country. May God continue to protect the people of South Africa. May God continue to advance our interests. Morena a boloke setjhaba sa heso, a se hlokomele. Ke a leboha. And all the other inconveniences that South Africans are living under, they directly affect the quality of the daily lives of our people. They constrain the growth of businesses and the economy and the creation of jobs. Our resolve to strengthen local government provides an opportunity to transform our municipalities and make them better run, more efficient, more responsive to the needs of our people. Selemong sena re tla ba re ya dikgethong hape, dikgetho tsa ho lo kgetha makhansela a rona le bomajoro ba rona. Ka kgetho leno ho tlameile hore bana ba re tsebang hore ke ba tswafa, ke batho ba tswafang, batho ba sa sebeletseng setjhaba, bao ba utswang tjhelete, re ba ntshe, re kenye bano ba re tsebang hantle hore ba tla sebetsa. Dikgetho tsena tse re yang ho tsona di tla re fa monyetla wa hore re ntjhafatse tsela e bommasepala ba rona ba sebetsang ka yona. This is important because the truest test of our democracy is whether freedom translates into material change in the lives of our people. Dignity starts with the most basic things: a roof over one's head, clean running water, reliable electricity. Freedom is about the ability to go to a clinic when one is sick, to have a school for one's children, and being provided with an age-old pension. Advancing human dignity is the promise of our Constitution and the fundamental value from which all other human rights flow. It is in pursuit of this fundamental value that we set out in the 2026 State of the Nation Address an ambitious economic agenda anchored in massive infrastructure investment, structural reforms, and economic transformation. We are removing obstacles to investment, making our economy more competitive, fixing our key state-owned enterprises like Eskom and Transnet. We are working with all our social partners to grow industries that will create jobs, such as agriculture, such as reviving mining, even here in the Free State, improving and expanding tourism, manufacturing, renewable energy, and digital industries. It is to advance human dignity that we continue to act without fear or favor against those who undermine the promise of our freedom. Every rand that is stolen is an attack on our democracy. Every project that is not completed is a betrayal of a community. Ki ile ka fihla mona Freistata dibekeng tse fetileng, Premier le Minister wa Housing Settlements, Human Settlements, ba ile ba nkisa dibakeng tse ngata mo ho ne ho qadilwe di-project tsa dintlo tse sa qetwang. Batho ba ne ba tshwanetse hore ba qete di-project tseno, ba filwe tjhelete, ba ba baleya le tjhelete ba sa qeta di-project tseno. Ho na le dibaka tse ngata mona Freistata where projects have just been left without being completed. Now that is wrong. That is what we are going to stop. Hore ha o fiwa monyetla wa ho etsa project, o iqete, o ska utswa tjhelete, o sebetse, o be o qete project eno. Now we will not rest until those who have hollowed out our institutions and diverted public resources for private gain are held accountable. No society can be free and equal while women and children continue to live in fear. We must therefore do more to end gender-based violence. As it was organized by the Premier and the leadership of the Free State, I said South Africa does not need a so-called new generation of men. It needs the men and boys of this generation to do better and to be better. We need men who are protectors of women, not perpetrators. Men of South Africa must stand up and be counted and say, "Not in our name." Men of South Africa must be free men and be able to respect the free women and young women of South Africa. Men of South Africa, do not abuse the women of this country. And that is why gender-based violence must be brought to an end. And it is the men of South Africa who must stop gender-based violence. That is the challenge that we, the men of South Africa, need to take up on this Freedom Day. We must grant the women and young women of our country their freedom